Hello, everyone. This is Frank Robinson coming to you from the studios at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association, presenting you with our monthly government affairs podcast, Take on New Jersey, where we talk about the issues that are affecting your businesses and also how the Government Affairs Department takes on the powers to be here in Trenton to advocate for your bottom line. Very pleased that my guest today is the Senate President, Sweeney from Gloucester County. Steve's been the Senate President since 2010, was first elected to the Senate in 2001. He served for about 13 or 14 years as the Freeholder Director down in Gloucester County, and we're very pleased that he's agreed to join us. Senator, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Frank.
Let's get right into it. The Senate President's been traveling around the state the last couple of months, talking about a plan that he helped conceive in the legislature called A Path to Progress. And he's been visiting all different kinds of groups, doing town hall, going to the NJBIA employer legislative committees all over the state of New Jersey. And we wanted to ask him to explain to our viewers, what is the Path to Progress?
Path to Progress, Frank, is a group that I asked to come together of economists, tax experts, and government experts and legislators in a bipartisan fashion to really address the big problems that New Jersey is facing right now, because New Jersey's in a really bad place financially. And we have the 5th highest tax burden in the nation, and adding to that's only going to make things worse, not better. So I asked them to come together with recommendations. They came together originally, there was 26 of them. They came back to us with 200 recommendations that we broke into 5 working groups, got it down to 58, and now got it to 32. And a lot of the recommendations aren't anything new. People have talked about them for years, but the problem is they actually have to get done now. So I made a commitment to the people that gave us their time on this path to progress that I wouldn't just get a report and stick it on a shelf, that we would really work hard to get it done. And I've been running around the state promoting it, urging people to look at it, go to the website, because they're reasonable solutions that can actually reverse New Jersey's fortunes.
Now, in your running around the state, we know that you have spoken to lots of different kinds of groups, and you've been getting all different kinds of reactions. What's some of the reactions you have gotten so far?
Well, for people that are actually interested in finding out what's going on, and is there a solution to New Jersey that I don't have to leave when my kids get out of high school, it's been very good, and they've been very open. And you know, look, I'm a union. I'm a union leader in my own world, and the unions are fighting like hell. They don't want to listen. We're going to fight at all costs, and it's unfortunate because they're the ones that are actually going to benefit from the changes. You know, our pension system's about ready to go bankrupt. We're the second worst funded pension system in the nation at $115 billion. We have unfunded liabilities on our health care, retiree health care, of like $36 billion. So, you know, we're not talking millions, we're talking billions. And, you know, what happens here in New Jersey is people like to think that things will go away if you don't bother with them. Well, you know, they always get worse, and that's what's happened here.
Well, I mean, I know that you have already, over the course of your career as Senate President, worked on the issue of pensions and health benefits going back to 2010, 2011. And that the pension and the health benefits seem to be one of the major problems of New Jersey's financial cliff. The state of Pennsylvania, I understand, recently tackled this problem and came up with a pretty good solution. What happened over there?
They got together and realized that they needed to do something to help Pennsylvania get on the right track. And it's frustrating as hell for me to watch the unions in Pennsylvania agree to the changes. I mean, they agreed to them. And here we're fighting over them. And at the end of the day, what they don't realize is we're trying to save their pensions. In 2010 and 11, when we did the reforms we did, if we hadn't done them, Frank, the pension system would have been broke by 2017. And when pension systems go broke, you normally see a reduction of about 1/3 in the pension. So that's one, is unfair. The second thing that's really unfair is we'd have to raise taxes $8 billion on top of just to fund the pensions. So, you know, money in, money out. because that's what it would only go to, is pensions, because we need that much money each year to fund the pensions.
Well, we're in the midst of the annual, some people call it a circus, I won't, of course, budget process here in New Jersey. Back about a month ago, the governor proposed a budget to both houses of the legislature, and your Senate Budget Committee, Budget and Appropriations, and the Assembly Budget Committee are now interviewing all the governor's department heads on the budget. What was your initial reaction to the budget the governor proposed this year?
Look, it was night and day from what he proposed this year and the way he proposed it compared to last year. We still don't agree on tax increases. We think that we really need to step back from raising taxes, and we need to start fixing things. But we're at a better starting point. I don't know if that means we're going to end better, but we're at a better starting point. And when it comes to tax increases, people keep talking about the millionaire's tax. Frank, we raised the corporate business tax, as you know,
yes,
on C corporations, which were the ones that were actually the beneficiaries of the Trump tax cut when it took it from 35 to 21. That's temporary. We put that in there to give the governor and his administration an opportunity, because we were broke, to give them an opportunity to transition and fix the pension, fix the health care, start fixing the problems that face the state. That money's not hanging around. And the clock is ticking, and we're not raising the millionaire's tax. You know, it's not healthy for a state to be dependent, 1%, the top 1%ers, to be paying 40% of all the taxes, income tax in New Jersey. And oh, by the way, it was higher when I first got here. So people are actually leaving. I can tell you a personal story. Just had my personal taxes done. Nothing has changed in my life, but I'm paying $10,000 more now than I did, and that's because of what happened with the SALT stuff. So, you know, it's not just millionaires that are going to be. A lot of people are going to get a rude awakening when it comes to taxes. Everyone I'm talking to are telling me that they wrote the biggest checks they've ever had to write, you know, to the governments of New Jersey and the United States.
Well, just for our viewers and listeners, I want to let them know that we're taping this show on April the 16th. So if you didn't file your taxes, you might be in trouble. But we've heard the same thing here at the Business and Industry Association from our members, that a lot of them were surprised that they ended up having to pay more taxes, not in state taxes at this point in time, but in their federal taxes, and it does have an effect. The SALT deductions have a major impact on a number of states, and New Jersey is one of those. And we're glad that you're keeping in mind the tax situation when it comes to this year's budget, because we did have concerns last year. You yourself said on a number of occasions you really regretted having to do that in many ways, and that you don't want to see more taxes going up because we are pushing people out of the state. NJBIA just recently did a poll in coordination with Rutgers Eagleton Institute of Polling. It's the first time that BIA has really gone out and done polling of the general population beyond our 15,000 members. And New Jerseyans seem pretty dissatisfied at this point in time.
Well, I live here, so I'm not surprised by it, Frank. I talk to people, like I go to the gym. I'm in the gym 4:30 in the morning.
God bless you.
And I actually had someone come up to me the other day, and he's not a millionaire. He's a salesman. And he was always like, just, how you doing, pleasantries. He came up to me and said, are you kidding me? When are you guys going to stop raising taxes? I'm moving. I'm going to Delaware. I said, I'm going to Delaware. I'm a salesman. It's 20 minutes further, but I'm going to save so much money in my taxes, and I drive everywhere I go anyway. He says, I can't stay here. As soon as my kids are out of school, I'm out.
Well, you've heard BIA talk about out-migration for a long time, and you've talked about it yourself. And what we've found is that it's not people flocking to Florida or North Carolina. It's going to Pennsylvania. It's going to Delaware. It's going to, I mean, even places like Maryland, where certain taxes are a little lower than New Jersey, although it's a high-tax state, too. What are some of the other things that we can do to keep people here?
Well, to keep people here is honestly to, we want to change the school systems. The path to progress says consolidation of school districts, not closing of schools, but consolidation of school districts so that All school districts are K to 12. You can go from 600 school districts down to 320. We can improve education, and we can save about $1 billion at the end of the day. Frank, there's a lot of money that's being wasted in New Jersey just because of the way we run government. And what I'm hoping for from doing this and everywhere I'm going is to get to a point where, I remember the movie Network, where the anchor opens the window and he says, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Well, I know people are mad as hell over their taxes here. This plan that we're pushing can cut taxes $3 billion. This is probably the first opportunity anyone's really seen since I've been in the legislature where their taxes could go down in this state. But my fear is so many people have given up. You know, it's the inevitable, I'm just getting out of here, it's never going to get any better. And what we're saying is, please don't leave. We don't want you to leave. We need you to stay.
Well, and on that point, one of the things that's going on in the state right now that has a concern to NJBIA, and also I know to yourself, is this whole review of the economic development plans, programs that we have in the state. And there seems to be a lot of misinformation or disinformation about those incentive plans, which for the most part, Business and Industry Association has been very, very supportive of since their inception, the original plans like 20 years ago. So tell us what's going on with those plans.
Well, you know, just remember Ray Lesniak and Joe Carrillos were a bipartisan team that worked on these things, and they were good programs. And anybody that thinks New Jersey can attract business without an incentive program, you're not thinking straight. You know, all the other states around us are doing the same thing. It's unfortunate that the administration has tried is put this in the light where it looks like everyone's frauding the state of New Jersey. We don't believe that's the case. We believe that a thorough review. Could you find someone that's cheated? Of course you can. But at the end of the day, I doubt it very much you're going to find many, if you know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
And my big beef is to this administration is, if you have facts that people have cheated New Jersey, we should know who they are, and they should have to pay interest and penalties and all the money back. Because why aren't you telling us?
Right. Well, and you really can't tar the vast majority of people that have been involved with economic development in the state with that bad brush. I mean, we know lots of examples, whether they're in North Jersey, South Jersey, Central Jersey, of where these programs have been very, very helpful in economic development. I mean, all you need to do is look at New Brunswick, Jersey City, Newark, Camden, a lot of different towns. But there are lots of other places beyond that have taken advantage of these programs. Advantage in a good way, not in any way, shape, or form cheating. And we've been concerned that they've been getting a bad rap too.
Absolutely. And Frank, at Glassboro, there's a $350 million redevelopment public-private project that happened there that completely changed Glassboro's town around, their fortunes around. So, you know, these programs work. They create lots of jobs, and I just don't think people get the full understanding. In New Brunswick right now, there's a large building that's being built, and it's a theater, and it's apartments, and it's right in their downtown, and those tax credits are going to regenerate. You know, all the restaurants around this building are going to do better. The hotel is going to hire people. They're going to do better. There's 650 construction jobs for 2 years there. You know, you can say temporary construction jobs. Yeah, well, as an iron worker, until I became a leader in my union, that's how I fed my family, on temporary construction jobs.
Yeah. And there's lots of examples of that all over the state. One of the big things that I know that Senator Lesniak and others were involved with the whole creation of the transit villages in New Jersey. And we're not going to talk about New Jersey Transit today too much, but
transit villages.
The transit villages have really sprung up all over the place.
Hey, listen, wherever you put the tracks down, with this new generation of people that are young people that are coming in, they want mass transportation. And you know, now we're talking about extending those rail stops, adding cars to trains, because the demand is so great. The property values have gone through the roof in the communities where the rail has been put in place. It's one of the best investments we can possibly make. And the only thing stopping us is money.
Funny. Well, I know that you've been a big proponent of expanding the light rail in the state, and whether we can extend it down into Glassboro, extend it up into Bergen County would be a great thing for economic development.
Listen, the Bergen County one absolutely should be happening, and so should this one in South Jersey. What I told people is we shouldn't pit ourselves against each other, because that's what we always do in Trenton.
Yeah, true.
And the Bergen line is just as important to me as the Camden line, and we can do both. And that Bergen one, you can imagine the congestion relief that would take place in Bergen. And for me, down in South Jersey, it's economic development.
Right.
Wherever you've seen these lines pop up, communities have changed, turned around almost overnight. I have Woodbury, which is the county seat in Gloucester. Its downtown is very desolate. There's a train stop there that used to be there. You run a train again, that whole community is going to reinvigorate itself.
Well, Gloucester County, which I know is your county, is one of the fastest growing counties in New Jersey, if not the fastest. I'm assuming that a train line will even enhance that?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to raise values, property values. Gloucester County, I love Gloucester County. Obviously, I live there. Right. And it's a place that I'm very proud to call home. And it's a county that has the fastest growing development in the state. So I think there's balanced growth. You can do balanced growth. We preserved a lot of land. We've preserved the third most land amount of acres in the state, but we also are developing it also because we want jobs. And that rail line would fix a lot of our old towns where there was rail at one time, Frank. And once the rail went away, the people went away.
Right. Well, in terms of that, just real quick, when you were freeholder director, you sort of built a reputation on someone who wanted to work on shared services and consolidation of government, and that, I know, is part of the Path to Progress report. Let's talk about that a little bit.
We waste so much money in New Jersey by having home rule. In Gloucester County, we proved, Frank, we did something no one else did. We gave the town services. We didn't charge you. We said, we have 16% rateable growth at the time. I would rather give you the service, right? We did police dispatch. We do all dispatch now. It took us 10 years to get all the towns. So now the towns, when they didn't have to pay, were paying locally, and they were paying at the county level, right? And same with Gloucester County is the only county that has countywide ambulance. We run half the number of ambulances now. We don't have all 24 towns in. If we had all 24 towns in, it would be even cheaper for us. We run half the ambulances in the 20 towns that they had. Our response times are faster. Everyone's certified on those regs because it's hard for volunteers now. You know, it really is because people work so hard. So shared services. When I left the Freeholder Board in 2010, the 24 towns in Gloucester County were saving $30 million a year combined. Gloucester County is the only county in New Jersey that doesn't have a jail. We closed our female, juvenile, and a male population jail. Went from spending $28 million a year in corrections down to 15.
Wow. That's
real money. That's real money that doesn't have to come out of people's pockets.
So which job did you like better, or do you like better? Being the freeholder director, where you had hands-on control of things, or as Senate president?
Listen, they both come with different challenges. I loved being freeholder director because you only needed a handful of people to see the same thing, or where you could push a vision. When I ran for office, my priority was to build schools for disabled kids. My daughter has a disability, to give parents a choice. Well, Frank, it didn't take a war to get those schools built. Here in Trenton, as you know, good ideas on either side of the aisle get attacked in a partisan way, and it's very hard to get the good product out to the finish line. They're normally, if you want to analyze it like a football game, they're 20-yard passes till you get to the end zone. You know, so you make steps, but you don't make the progress that you really want. It's frustrating.
Well, we wish you luck in your job as Senate President to get these things done. And I just wanted to touch upon one more subject. And ladies and gentlemen, I let the Senate President know that I was going to talk about this, so it's not a gotcha question. Over the course of the last year, business and industry associations have been concerned with a lot of different legislation that both the Senate Assembly and the governor have passed and signed into law regarding paid sick leave, paid family leave, and the minimum wage. There are certain things that we have been able to work with the legislature and the governor on, making those laws a little better for the business people in the state. But one of the things that struck us as an association is when you got up and spoke on the floor of the Senate about the minimum wage bill. And a lot of people are concerned about there could be some unintended consequences over minimum wage. And I know that a package of bills has been introduced, which I know that you've looked at, that could address some of those concerns. What are those, and what's their future?
Well, one, Frank, I was very cautious going to $15 because listen, it's a big jump.
Right.
And I was the one that sponsored the last couple of minimum wage bills.
Right.
We got to make sure that we don't lose more jobs at the end of the day. Look, automation is going to happen regardless of what we do because it's just the world we live in. But if there's mistakes made, and I said this on the floor, if we have made mistakes, there's not one piece of legislation I think we've ever passed that was perfect. We will correct it. I think Senator Gopal has a bill about putting a pause.
He does.
If the economy is to get soft, I would wholeheartedly support that, to give it a circuit breaker approach like California did. And again, if the number was too low on small businesses and we see a loss there, we're going to have to address that. So all the way around, Frank, we'll monitor what we've done. Okay. And if this turns out to be not a positive, we'll adjust it, because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose more than you gain by doing it.
Right. And we know that one size doesn't necessarily fit all. Yeah. And we worked with you and the Assembly Speaker in terms of addressing some of those issues and what people call carve-outs. And you were both very open to look at that, because we aren't a one-size-fits-all state, and we appreciate that very much. As we go forward from here, what's your prediction on what's going to happen with the budget? Because we're taping the show about 2 months before the deadline of the constitutional deadline of having a balanced budget. So what's your crystal ball tell us, Senate President?
Well, before I answer that, I think that we've worked well with BIA. I don't think that we were ever exactly completely happy, but we did listen. And we will continue to listen on the legislation that has impacted your members.
We do.
But my crystal ball is we always get a budget done. Mine is my goal, maybe not crystal ball, but my vision is that we reform the pension and health care, and we actually cut taxes, not raise taxes this year. Because there is the ability to cut taxes. And it's just a matter, is there a will to cut them? But I'm in a place in time professionally in this that I need to be part of the fix.
Appreciate that. One last question, and it has to do with there's been lots of talk, and it's an issue that BIA is concerned with from the standpoint of workplace safety, and that's the whole issue of marijuana right now in the state. Or cannabis. We're supposed to call it cannabis now and not marijuana.
Or weed.
Weed.
Frank, the most important thing is the employer's rights prevail. In my industry as an iron worker, we're 100% drug-free.
Right.
And my rights, my employer's rights are not lost with the legalization of marijuana. In fact, we work with you guys on that.
Absolutely.
To ensure that the language is in there. Do I think marijuana is going to happen? Yeah. And right now, there's a problem in my industry because medical marijuana. We don't recognize that as legal. People get a prescription and a card that says it is legal.
Right. Yeah.
Well, in my business, they still can't work if they do that. So, we have hurdles to clear. I'm a supporter of adult use marijuana. I'm a supporter of the medical marijuana. But we made it very clear that employers' rights prevail. Now, hopefully, there's a national policy, because there's discussion on the national level now of making this legal. And if they do, it would be a hell of a lot easier for everybody, and there would be standards set, and we could move forward. And the good news is technology, since this is a industry that we project can create up to 43,000 jobs, new jobs in New Jersey. There's a lot of positives with it, but the testing is growing. Like the testing's still evolving, so you can tell if someone has consumed recently or it was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And those type of tests are advancing rapidly, and hopefully will be in place when we get to where we do this.
Okay. Well, thank you for your candor. I want to thank the Senate President for appearing here with me on Take on Trenton. If you are interested in his Path on Progress, you can go to the State Senate website. Just Google Path to Progress or Senate Democrats in New Jersey, and you get a copy of the report. It goes over all the recommendations, and NJBIA has been very, very supportive of what the Senate President's trying to do, because we do believe that New Jersey is starting to approach that fiscal cliff, and we need to pull back from it so we don't lose any more citizens and so we don't lose any businesses. Senator Steve, thank you for being here.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Everyone, tune in next month where we'll have another show from the Government Affairs Department of NJBIA. And I want to, as always, thank my producer and director, Vinny Civitello. Thank you and have a good evening.